Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Procurement, the only show you need to master the art of procurement. Let's go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Procurement. Thank you for joining us as always. Guess who's with me in the studio? In fact, you don't need to guess because he's always here. It's the magical Luke 10. How are you, my friend?
Always here, still always valued though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always valued, always contributing, and I think the results of your training efforts and time served in procurement are starting to pay off now as you climb the corporate ladder.
I like the way you call it time served. It's as if I've been captured and are working in procurement against my will.
Look, I think if reffing was a full-time option for you, I think you'd be doing that 7 days a week, but it's not, and you've got whistles to buy and bills to pay, so completely understand why why you're serving a sentence in the procurement world.
That makes my life sound so boring if I'm being a procurement professional to pay to be a ref. If that was all I achieved in life, would I be happy at the end of the life?
It's not about being happy at the end of your life. It's being happy on the journey of life.
Oh, wow. There we go. That is the insight that the listeners pay us for.
So for those of you who don't know what the podcast is about and you're new around here, first of all, welcome. Second of all, we are Luke 10 and Luke 1, both called Luke, so we had to differentiate somehow. And our goal here is to make procurement more accessible as a topic, easier to understand, and to help people on their CIPS journey, or just with a general interest in understanding and improving themselves in the world of procurement. So I myself have CIPS to my name. I've been in procurement for a number of years, and Luke 10 joined the same company that I was working for at the time, and was a little fledgling in procurement, deciding to kind of carry on his CIPS journey, and offered to tutor him. I say tutor him, that's probably the wrong term. Mm-hmm. I offered to chat rubbish with him on a podcast, record it, and then
the tutoring was it was forced upon me. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, probably just rinsing you on episodes, hoping that you don't do as well as you deserve to do, if I'm being honest. But that's what we're about, really. So strap in, join us to see Luke 10's journey as he blossoms in the world of procurement, and to get to grips with some core procurement technology and terms.
And if you want to get in touch with us, then we have email, which is 2lukes1sip@gmail.com. That's the number 2, Luke's plural, the number 1, CIP@gmail.com. We also have a little Instagram, don't we? Which is, what is it again? Let's_talk_procurement.
Yes.
And we also, in the description of every episode, we have an option to drop us a text. So it's quite high up in the description of the episode, I believe. Just click that link. You can send us a text straight into our DMs.
Do you know what's great about that?
Go on.
Well, if we really like your message, we can publish it on our website. So you'll be forever on our website as a listener who's gotten in touch via the text us function. There's some absolute crackers on there already, so get involved. So have you got anything for the notice board today?
I've got something. It's an email. It's Nick, a great guy, our best mate called Nick, has got in touch on the email 2lukes1sip@gmail.com. That's the number 2, Luke's plural, the number 1, CIP@gmail.com. He says, "Hi Luke 1 and Luke 10. I hope you are well." Thanks, Nick. I am well. I've listened to... That sounded so sarcastic there.
It did, didn't it? Yeah.
I've listened to all season 1 and 2 pods. I really like them. Can you tell me how I access Daniel Do practice exams, please? I'm struggling to find any good practice exams online and have my L4M3 and L4M5 next week? Or have you got any other practice exams I could use, as the ones provided by my course provider are rubbish? So, he does say he had his exams next week, and that was early July. Don't know when this episode is going out, but it's not going to be in time for that. Since considering when we recorded this, it's already past that. So that is in reference, I believe, to the episode we did with Nick. That was tips for multiple choice exams. Nick is really good at them. He's achieved, I believe, an average of over 90% in his multiple choice exams. That's over level 3 and level 4. He references a guy called Daniel Doe, don't know how to say his name, which, all right, I'm going to take the credit for this one, was something I told Nick about.
Wow.
What it is a guy who makes practice exams for CIPS multiple choice, right? And they're pretty good. As I say, I've done them when I was doing my level 4 back in the day. And they're really good. They're pretty similar to the actual CIPS ones. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to get him in trouble by saying this, but there was a question that I did on one of his practice papers the day before, and it was some sort of calculation question. Yeah. I think it was about ratios or something, and you had to work out what the ratio was based on a set of numbers, and the exact numbers that were in the practice paper the day before, it was the same numbers in the real exam the day after. So I don't know if he's just got an insane memory, or he has a little insight into the way CIPS operate, maybe. But anyway, they're pretty good.
So this guy leaks the papers for a small fee. Is that what we're saying?
I'm not gonna say he leaks papers. As you mentioned, there is a fee attached to it. I don't know if Nick was able to get that paid for by his employer. Potentially, you could request that if you obviously, if your employer is paying for your CIPS. I think if you buy all of them, it does add up. So we're not getting sponsored by him or anything to say that they're good. So obviously have a look into it yourself and decide whether it's something you want to invest in. But yeah, I would say that they are good, and they are similar to the CIPS multiple choice exams, especially.
Interesting. Well, look, maybe we'll see if we can reach out to him and negotiate a deal to get our listeners a little discount. Also, we're working on a few things with some other procurement specialists to see what we can bring you listeners as well in terms of helping you out with that sort of thing. So, look, my advice to you. Look, Nick, if you failed, because obviously this will be published probably a few months later. If you failed, then yeah, I'd recommend going and just paying for it, mate, and sorting yourself out. If you pass, then yeah, fair play, and I'm glad we could help you through that tough time.
Yeah. Either way, we're getting either credit from Nick for helping him pass, or credit from Daniel Doe, for promoting his exams. I will say it's on Udemy, and let me see if I can find out how to spell it. Yeah, so it's a site called Udemy, Udemy, and the guy's name is Daniel Doe. That's just D-O. If you wanted to find them, I hope we do get commission from him now. Now we've promoted him pretty heavily.
Giving him his full name and everything.
Yeah.
Once he delivers, does he change his name to Daniel Dunn?
Oh, I actually quite like that one. If he's travelling somewhere, does he say Daniel going gone?
Oh dear.
Okay, that wasn't as good.
That was terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything for the listeners on the bulletin?
No, I mean that was mildly entertaining. Look, I don't know. Is this season 3 now?
I believe so. Yeah.
I'm glad we've made it. It's been a pleasure. What I really like is the plan that we put into it, where we knew how many episodes we'd have for season 1, then for season 2, and the amount of series and segments we've kind of followed through right the way through, looking back.
It's in fact it was a little Easter egg that some people picked up on, wasn't it? Janet actually emailed us to say, "Can't believe you've done this." Is that the number of episodes in season 1 and then the number of episodes in season 2 is actually Janet's birthday.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
So if you didn't notice that, then we've just exposed the fact. But yeah,
well,
if you want to be like Janet and be our number 1 listener, then get in touch.
Season 3 is going to be wild though, because it's time for Janet's year of birth. So we're doing 1,992 episodes.
Wait, when's is that when Janet's born?
Yeah, 1992. She's quite young for a Janet.
I haven't seen a picture of Janet's hair as well. Her hair doesn't look like it's from that year. She's receding like you.
Well, I think I'm going to ignore that bit, but let's just say that a career in procurement's really taken its toll on 1992 Janet.
Well, Janet, she's always catching strays, isn't she?
She is, yeah. Which is probably why she sticks around. So yeah. Anyway, look, I'm glad we made it to season 3, and it's been a pleasure. So let's dive on into today's topic, which I know you've researched and are gonna reveal.
So great bulletin there. Now let's swiftly move on to the.
You're such an idiot.
I can't sound natural when I say something like that. How do you? You can keep this in, Aaron, but I just want the listeners to know that. Yeah.
You could have sounded more sarcastic. You really could have sounded more sarcastic if you tried. The thing is,
I think I'm quite a sarcastic person, but then whenever I try to not sound sarcastic, it just still sounds sarcastic anyway.
Yeah.
What if I try to sound sarcastic? Maybe it works the other way. Maybe it's a double negative. Wow, great bulletin there. Did that work?
It sounded better, actually, yeah.
Okay, good. So, I received an email from CIPS themselves. They sent an email directly to me. I assume all CIPS members got the same email, or maybe they know my age, and maybe they know I am in Generation Z. So they sent me an email. What can Generation Z do for procurement? So this email goes on to talk about employing the next generation of CIPS professionals. And it talks, of course, because it's about Gen Z, it talks about TikTok. And it says, this generation of ambitious young digital natives who are upskilling themselves to cope with the disruptions to the global economy and world of work. Sorry, this is a generation. Don't know if I said that right at the start. So that email then linked to an article that they produced, and that made me think, why don't we do an episode on inspiring the next generation in procurement? We can both talk about it from our respective generations. He's shaking his head. He's not happy about that. And we can kind of reflect on the article. So I don't know if anyone's able to access this, or they need to log in to be a CIPS member, but the article is called Inspiring the Next Generation, and it talks about...
No, well, look, firstly, I think it's a great topic, because I think that's one of our kind of ambitions in the podcast is to get more people involved and engaged in the topic. So actually, that kind of younger market is, how do we get people involved? And maybe if we need to do TikTok dances, then that's what it is, right? Is that something you're up for doing?
Potentially. I think to go viral on TikTok, you need to have something. How do I phrase? You need to have a grab, something that grabs you and pulls you in. So that's what it is.
So I think we just... Have you seen rugby before?
Whatever.
Yeah.
I have.
Do you know the hacker?
Yeah.
So I think we do the hacker to like random songs like Vanessa Carlton's 1000 Miles. And in the meantime, while we're doing that, like buzzwords from our podcast just pop up in the background.
Yeah, I like it.
I feel like that could be quite unique.
It would definitely be unique.
Or
I don't know.
Or we headbutt planks of wood in half, and as we do it, we yell buzzwords. Supply chain.
Yeah. Or the planks of wood have the words written on them.
Supplier logos.
Yeah. Then you headbutt it. Or it's like I don't know. There's a supplier quote with loads of different line items that are all planks of wood, and you headbutt them, and you negotiate down the price on those different things.
Yes, and then we can say at the end, our supplier negotiations given you a headache. This TikTok was sponsored by paracetamol.
Whoa, Inception! I didn't expect that coming.
There we go. Yeah. So look, I think let's inspire people. Whether we need to get on that. I mean, this is why you're on the pod, right? Because you're Gen Z. Just about. I think you're the lowest bracket of Gen Z, aren't you? You're so close to the latest generation.
I don't think so. I think I'm in the middle.
2025 is 2025 is the new generation. The new generation is called Generation Alpha, I think.
Yeah. 1997 to 2012. I am in that range. I will reveal now. I'm in that range.
Yes. And given that your voice hasn't dropped yet, it's kind of indicative of which side you're on. But I think, yeah, look, and then obviously I'm the generation above. I don't know what that's called. I think it's boomers or something, isn't it? But
silent generation.
Yeah. But I think that
So,
we've both chosen procurement.
Yeah, we have. Although not on purpose. The article says, why is it that a generation that cares so much about positive change isn't jumping at the opportunity to do a job which helps to save the planet and makes people's lives better? I feel like CIPS there is thinking, why aren't young people wanting to become procurement professionals? But I don't know, maybe with the exception of Lauren, who we did an episode with, who did a procurement degree, I don't know anyone who has actively chosen to go into procurement from school or uni. It seems to be the type of career that you discover when you kind of look into what jobs are available. Whereas, when kids grow up, they say, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a vet. Some people say accountancy, some people say lawyer, which are two fairly connected professions to procurement. But I think they have a lot more, they're a lot more well known, and I don't know if glamorized is the right word, but at least more glamorized than procurement is.
Would you say credible? More credible?
Yeah, definitely credible. Like if you're talking to someone and you say, what do you do for a living? Someone says accountant, someone says lawyer, you know what that means. Whereas when I talk to people, I say, I work in procurement. I'd say 80% of people don't know what that is. Maybe that's not fair, but that's what it feels like anyway.
I kind of agree, actually. I think a lot of people don't even know that it exists as a function or a profession, and I do think it lacks awareness, or people lack awareness of it. And I don't know if that's the function's fault or if that's education and things like that.
So I mean, we do like to, I don't know, be a little bit negative sometimes on this pod.
Yeah.
So the people CIPS spoke to on the article, there's a couple of them that have made comments. So one of them said a few different things, and it said, procurement professionals are essentially party planners who do it all. That seems like a weird statement. I'm not sure if I agree with that. It doesn't feel like a party, I'm going to be honest.
No.
Have you ever
Funeral?
seen a yeah,
Is that a bit
could
more
be a
realistic?
funeral. I guess what this person is maybe trying to get at is planning element of it. So
Right.
so planning ahead, sourcing the right deals, and keeping promises, like delivering the cake on time and setting up a magic show without delays. This kind of feels like he's just thought about what would a 5-year-old be into, and then
Literally my thoughts.
and
So I was
then
thinking-
said that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but can you see like a lawyer, like the legal equivalent of CIPS going, law is like having a party, which is
With
exactly what you
magic.
should join.
Yeah.
And
Party
cake.
and magic and fairies and cake. Yeah. So maybe, yeah, this article as well, someone else says it's like food shopping. You need to think about what you want to eat and drink and where to get it. Maybe we're saying that they're oversimplifying this, because that's what it seems to me. Some people say other things which I don't necessarily disagree with, like procurement drives positive change.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Someone else CIPS spoke to recommends focusing on procurement's links to sustainability and ethical practice. So they say that my generation is more concerned about ethics, which, you know, I think there's a lot of focus on sustainability, right? Social and environmental, which, yeah, that could work if you say join procurement to help things be more ethical, especially, you know, especially public sector. I think that's a definite tick in the box there.
I mean, yeah, okay. I'm gonna let you carry on through these before I comment.
Before you diss them.
Yeah.
Someone else says you spend millions of other people's money, which is true. One of the things that I was I don't know, maybe surprised about when I first started in procurement as an apprentice is I was working on deals that were quite hefty sums of money. More money than you know I'd ever really thought about, I suppose, in life. That's not to say I was put under pressure to lead on these tenders. However, being involved in it, especially as an apprentice very early in my career, was quite cool. So maybe there's a lot of people that are obsessed with money, and that's the numbers that they work on are quite important to them. So that's a driver there potentially.
I can get on board with that. I think for me, I even to this day, I still think, wow, that's a lot of money. When you look at what companies spend on things, and being able to make a difference to that is definitely, but for me, I find interesting.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily about purely reducing cost, is it? One thing that they potentially have missed out on this article is it can be quite varied.
Yes.
You could be working on a tender for hardware, you know, in one meeting, and then the next meeting you go and it's something completely different. I think that variation on job role, you're not just kind of looking at a spreadsheet or, you know, rejecting what do lawyers do? Reject stuff. say no to things, argue with people. You're not just arguing with people. It's kind of similar link to the point previously, is that you get exposure to quite high levels of people within the organisation, even when you yourself are as a junior member of staff. And I think that's because you are dealing with the budget holders, right? The people who make decisions on the people whose money it is tend to be quite high up in the organisation. Like, you could be working on a project for, you know, the chief financial officer or the chief operations officer or something, because they're the ones that hold the budget and have decided, I want to spend money on this.
Yeah, and that's why it's important that we're close to them and we get involved, which is, like you said, it's another kind of perk of it, is that you get to mix with different people in the business, for sure.
Yeah. So did you want to say your points now, or should we say we could come up with something about how it can be improved for?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just first of all, I think they've missed the point completely. If I was, and I'm not the next generation, but if I was the next generation and I read this article, I would have turned off at the first point, saying it's like a party. You know, how can you go from cake and candles to driving positive environmental change to, if I'm being honest, the ways of working have changed a lot, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But I think they've ignored what actually people are looking for in a career and a job, because that's changed a lot over time. So for me, this is just people saying why they probably like procurement, or coming up with a random.
Yeah, and trying to squeeze it into what they think a Generation Z person would like.
Yeah, and in their head, their little niece is still 5 years old or something like that. They're thinking, oh, that must be a Gen Z. So yeah, I wouldn't score the article well, but I think
we said Generation Z is 1997 to 2012. So at the upper end of that, what's that going to be? Someone who's 28. And they're thinking, and they're saying, you know, you can have party and cake and magic. It's not really.
It's not great, is it?
It's not what they're looking for. Yeah.
So yeah, I think they've missed it, but I think the intent of the article is on point.
Yeah, definitely.
Going back to a point you said earlier, where it always seems to be that people fall into procurement as opposed to choosing procurement.
Do you think CIPS should lean into that? Or should they try and make it a career that people, you know, maybe, I guess it's not going to be a primary school thing, but maybe secondary school, mid-teens, people think, oh, I want to go into procurement. Yeah,
100%.
You do think they should do some stuff like that, or something to make that be a thing? They
should raise awareness of it. So like when you're in school or college or whatever, you get people coming in and doing career fairs and talking to you about, you know, what it's like to work in an accountancy firm, or what it's like to be a vet. And I never recall anyone saying this is what it's like to be a procurement professional. And as the what would you call them, the ambassadors, the representative of the profession, you would expect CIPS to be spending some of their kind of investment money into that, into growing its presence in education, really.
Yeah, you would like them to be the kind of the people that are funding that awareness.
Yeah, exactly. Well, or at least using their network and their connections and stuff to give guidance on how we can do it as members of CIPS.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. So, what's our kind of take on it then? Why do we think procurement is good for Generation Z? I agree with the sustainability one. I think, as we've already touched on, some other things. Would you agree with this, that you have to be on top of, well, you don't have to, but it's recommended to be on top of new or emerging things, products, technologies, because you are often going to be the one negotiating, and you may or may not have help from the technical team. So it's good to at least have a base understanding of, say, for example, a big thing at the moment is AI. You should probably have a good understanding of, even if it's to a basic level, like just to help you understand what the considerations are. Like, for example, if you know only that, people put data into AI and it spits out a result, okay, where's that data going?
Yeah.
Helps you come up with the kind of questions that you need to ask for that.
To be good in procurement, you have to be relevant in whatever industry you're in, right? So you have to stay on top of whatever your kind of speciality is, which is good because it's kind of future-proofing you in a way as well.
Yeah, agreed. It can be global. If you work for a company with a global supply chain, you could, in theory, well, maybe less so now, but kind of go to other countries to negotiate deals or check up on suppliers or something like that. But it is possible.
Look, let's be realistic, right? So when you're young and you're looking for a career, first you need to know that career exists. So I think that's the first bit that we touched upon a minute ago. Then you need to know that it's a viable career. So is it something that you can actually do for a number of years? Has it got progression? Can you get promoted? Can you develop yourself in it? Or is it like, I don't know, gonna be a bit flippant here, but is it just like being a cashier in a supermarket where that's all you're going to be? Because there's no, you can't become a senior cashier and then a cashier manager, mega cashier or something, the final boss cashier. It's fairly limited. So you have to understand that. But then also, is it something that is future proof in a way that it will be a job in 10, 15, 20 years time? Because there are certainly careers that you can get into now which you probably don't need. One of the ones that was big when I was a young boy was web design. So getting into designing websites was huge. If you could do that effectively, you could sell to many companies. You could maintain people's websites and you could earn stacks out of it. But now you just chuck it into an AI bot and you can have a website in 10 minutes. So yeah, I think that's the next part. So procurement for me is kind of future-proof. I think it is because as long as companies exist and as long as companies need to buy things to create outputs, then there's a role for procurement in that company.
Yeah.
And then the other thing when you're looking is salary. Like, let's be real. In this day and age, a lot of people want to get money quick and fast. And from what I can tell, the younger people are less inclined for a career and more inclined for, the quick bucks, the things like TikTok and Instagram or whatever they can do to make money in the shorter term. I'm not saying that's everyone, but there's obviously an increase in that because it's accessible and anyone can potentially do really well from it.
Yeah. I think people in my generation are quite money driven, and I wonder if that's because of the increased kind of visibility. Like you see someone that you spoke to for a year in school and they're off in Dubai making millions, so you think, I need to, I'll be less of a person, be worse off than this person is, even if they're only showing the best parts of their life. They're not showing the kind of bad bits, and maybe that drives kind of like a state that people just care quite a lot about the money side of things.
Yeah,
obviously cost of living going up as well. I think that's on people's minds as well. People who may be struggling financially but don't have any kids or don't have mortgages, they think, how am I going to get or pay for a house if I don't have a job with a high salary?
Yeah, I can buy that.
So why might procurement be bad for Generation Z? What are the reasons not to?
So I think there's a lot of people that have the skills or would be interested in a career in procurement. I think that they're missing out because of lack of information and accessibility, as opposed to lack of interest in what a procurement career can entail. I think the more people know about it, the more people will want to get into it. So I think that's the real problem. I think if we go to why wouldn't you join it as a career, I think it's quite a lot. I think some people don't want full-on roles, and I think if you're in this, you are in the center of everything. You're kind of talking to every different stakeholder. You've got to get things done to time critical deadlines. You have to want to be negotiating, talking to people. And I think if you're an introvert, you might not like it. If you just rather do something a bit more laid back, sell flip-flops on a beach.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say. I think you don't necessarily have to be extroverted, but you have to be comfortable with being in like a 2v1 situation, or even a 3v1 sometimes. Like, you might be on a call with a supplier, they've got the salesperson, they've got the technical person, they've got the legal person, all batting for their side, and you have to say maybe some news that they don't want to hear, like, we're not going to get this purchase order to you this week, or we need you to cut your price in half or something, which obviously if you feel uncomfortable with, that's fine. It's a skill that gets developed, right? Yeah,
absolutely. But you have to want to do that sort of stuff, right? Because it is uncomfortable the first few times, and you do get situations where you get the old school negotiators who play hardball, and then they're quite unpleasant to be around and all that stuff as well. So
yeah,
I think, didn't we publish an episode about what we hate about procurement anyway? Pretty sure we did.
I'm going to say we did. And I think it was kind of recent, so it's bad we've already forgotten about it.
Yeah, I think, recent, there's two different recents, isn't there? Recently recorded and then recently published.
That is true. So I did ask AI why procurement might be challenging for Gen Z, and the 5 things it's, I don't know what the right pronoun for AI is. Low visibility, it's not a well-known career path, so that's one you mentioned. Complex stakeholder management, procurement involves negotiating, and skills like that take a long time to develop. Third was pressure and responsibility. Managing large budgets and critical supply chains can be stressful, especially in crisis situations. That's true. To add to that, people often leave out procurement, and then at the last minute it's, this supply needs to start on Monday. Can you get a contract in place and pay them before then? Which could be a drawback. Fourth point was, and I want to see if you agree with these next two, traditional culture in some sectors. Some procurement environments may still be hierarchical or resistant to change, which can clash with Gen Z's preference for flexibility and innovation.
See, I was going to argue the opposite case for procurement. But that might be because that's the environment we're in, so I can't really comment, to be honest. I've seen a transformation from a hierarchical environment to a flexible way of working, but I don't know. I think maybe public sector might be a bit hierarchical, but equally, if everything was flat, you'd never get promoted.
Public, I don't know if hierarchical is the word I'd use for public sector. I mean, it is, but I think that's potentially a positive in terms of there's a clear career path. Maybe the drawback of public sector is that it's very process based. You have to go through the same process over and over again, and you can't really, well, you can vary, but not to a massive extent. So anyway, the fifth point was limited creative expression. While strategic procurement may not offer the same creative outlets as marketing, design, or content creation roles. Fair.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then
that's different people, different career paths, isn't it? I think if you're going into a creative role, you're going to have a lot more volatility as opposed to the stability you can get in a procurement role. Say with all the new tools and stuff coming out, still great careers in there. It's definitely a lot more cutthroat now.
So on the flip side, to end it on a positive, why procurement is good for Gen Z. Again, I asked AI, and AI said, number one, purpose-driven work. Gen Z values sustainability, ethics, and social impact, which procurement plays a key role in, which we said. Number two was tech-forward environment. Modern procurement uses AI, data analytics, and automation. Perfect for a generation raised on tech. Number three, procurement is international. Gen Z can work with global suppliers and gain cross-cultural experience. Number four was fast career growth. With strong analytical and communication skills, Gen Z can quickly rise in the procurement roles, especially in dynamic industries like tech, fashion, or sustainability.
Yeah.
You agree? Nice. And the last point, which we said, was variety and impact. Procurement touches every part of a business, from marketing to manufacturing, giving Gen Z a broad view and real influence.
I like it. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think I think my overall summary would be sack that article, load of crap, and invest some real resource and time into actually kind of promoting what you can do in procurement and what procurement might find attractive to things like like you said, the social impact or environmental impact that you can make for technology and innovation, because you could be looking, you could be working on the latest tech, which is quite cool. Flexibility, elaborate that procurement careers could be done in flexible workloads. And just that there is a career to be had there. It's not just you come in and you're stagnant for 30, 40 years until you retire.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's a transferable skill as well. If you're doing a different job, or you're doing this job and you want to move to a different industry, there's a lot of skills in there that you need and that you could sell to other potential employers. So we hope you've learned something from the episode today. Again, if you want to get in touch with us, our email is 2lukes1sip@gmail.com. That's the number 2, Luke's plural, the number 1, CIP@gmail.com. That's all we had today. Make sure to tune in next week ×2 for the next episode.
Assuming we publish on time. See you later.
See you later.